55, Jacksonville.
Second down, 13. 45 of Baltimore. Brunell back in the pocket. Has a bit of time. Now being chased. Plants throws. He's looking downfield. He's got a receiver. And it is caught. Jimmy Smith at the 5. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Wayne starts for 45 yards. Barks out the signals. Drops to throw. Has time. Fires the slant. Jimmy's got it this time. 35, 30. Middle of the field. 20. He's going to the 20-yard line. He's going to score. 10, 5. Jimmy Smith. Touchdown. And the Jaguars are right back in this ball game. Barks out the signals. Pressure coming. Steps up. Steps. Turns. Throws. He's got Jimmy. First down. 20. There he goes. 10, 5. Touchdown. Win. Jacksonville. Done under pressure. Steps to avoid. Turns and throws. He's got him in. Caught Jimmy inside the 40-yard line to the 37 and down to the 36.
Congratulations to Jimmy Smith. That is now his 800th career reception, and what a play to get it on.
This team winning right now, it helps bring so much attention to our franchise, what we did back in the day, like we were talking about, these Hall of Fame conversations. But when we're winning, we see the conversations pick up. So we have noticed that. So obviously, I'm pulling for my team to get to this Super Bowl.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Tom McManus, and Dylan Denmark.
Oh, the Jimmy Smith Open. As we get things rolling here to close out the last February show of Jaguars Today here for the month, as we'll tomorrow head into March. Tony Smith, Tom McManus, Dylan Denmark here with you. Mike Dempsey on assignment. He'll be back with us on Monday. And Tommy, as I listen to that Open, I'm thinking about, on Friday last week, we were doing the worst first-round draft pick in Jacksonville Jaguars history.
Yeah.
Right? And we had R.J. Soward and Blaine Gabbert and C.J. Henderson. We didn't do it on purpose, but it kind of became an eras thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like the 3 decades were all represented.
Yep.
Right? In that. And C.J. Henderson wound up winning the poll. Yep. 34.6, 34.5.
Oh, did he really? He won it.
For Blaine
Wow.
Gabbert.
Wow.
And R.J. Soward got 30.8.
Okay.
And for me, R.J. is pretty easily my vote among those 3 people. But I hear the Jimmy Smith Open, and I think to myself, the young fans obviously pushed the C.J. Henderson thing over the finish line, I would think, last week. Right? Because that's the one they might have the most relationship with of those scars that Jaguars fans are carrying.
I never felt like he hurt us that bad, though.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean? It's almost like he didn't even exist.
It's like the day he got drafted and he was sitting there. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the whole time he was here. That's how it felt with CJ every time anything happened. It's like, oh, yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
That's that guy they spent a top 10 pick on.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Gone. Poof.
But I hear the Jimmy Open.
Yep.
And I think finally the young Jaguars fans who don't know what it feels like as a Jaguars fan or as you did as a player, getting ready for games every week knowing, oh, we got Jimmy.
Right.
Right. And that's a problem for them this week. They got to figure out how to deal with Jimmy. And Jacksonville really hasn't had any sustained run of that in the wide receiver room since Jimmy left. They've had moments of flash where I think Allen Robinson may be able to turn into this. Justin Blackmon, hopefully he can stick around long enough to become something like this. But Brian Thomas Jr. feels like for the first time maybe since Jimmy where teams are going to have to figure out how to deal with our guy for a decade.
Without a doubt. And it does matter who the supporting cast is because I think back to Jimmy. Now, Jimmy being the X was, he's everything you wanted out of an X, right?
Yeah.
Can run every route. Looks like he's going deep every time, is tough, makes a tough catch over the middle, turns something into nothing, takes it to the house any given moment, which opens everything up for who? For the supporting cast. So you throw Jimmy with Keenan. Keenan as a slot underneath, he was a nightmare for teams to defend. I thought Willie Jackson was a phenomenal number 3. It's too bad him and Tom Coughlin didn't get along because Willie, he was a perfect. Those 3 together were incredible, in my opinion. I thought they were great. And then you throw in the tight ends. First it was Pete Mitchell. Then, of course, it was Kyle Brady. And then you got Freddie out of the backfield. You had James Stewart prior to that. You had Nate. Nate could catch the ball a little bit out of the backfield. So could James. James was a great screen type route runner and wide receiver type back. And then you had Brunell. So we had, and then we had an offensive line that was tough. It's like, I mean, look, Coughlin knew how to put together the kind of offense that he wanted. It was to be able to move you out of the way and keep my quarterback clean and have enough threats with weapons to really hurt you when called upon.
I thought it was really cool this year, one of the weeks on the Manning cast. You know, Bill Belichick was on there for the first halves of all the games this year, which was kind of cool. It was listening to Bill Belichick talk football is fun.
Yep.
Right. Given how much experience he has.
The knowledge.
Right. Maybe the best head coach in NFL history. When everything is said and done, we'll see where the discussion goes with that, right, when he's finally done officially as an NFL head coach, which maybe sooner rather than later, maybe now, for all we know. We just don't know on that. But he was doing the Manning cast, and one of the weeks this year, I think it was Peyton asked him, who's the best slot receiver you ever coached? Right, and that's the guy who's done the Edelman thing and the Welker thing. You know, the guys, we know the names of the guys that he coached up there at New England. And he mentioned, you know, I would have to say, you know, and he mentioned those two names as guys that he coached up there and how great they were. He's like, a guy that never gets talked about that should is Keenan McCardell.
Yeah,
right.
I agree
and
with that.
Belichick was willing to shout him out because of the time that he had with him in Cleveland.
Yep.
Right. And we know, like in Jacksonville, we know just how effective he was as the guy opposite the guy.
Yeah.
You know, you give him a Jimmy on the other side, and Keenan can tear you up.
I know. And what a great find. I mean, he was like a 12th round pick for the Browns.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, you know, a
back
high
when they
round
drafted till they couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah. He was what a great find for our offense, you know. And you got it. My point is, Brian, it's going to center around him because when you have a number one, an X like that, it opens up everything else. And he can make all the plays you want him to make or need him to make. Yeah. And then he opens it up for everybody else. I mean, it's absolutely – but you do have to have those other pieces in place to truly have an efficient and a really effective, consistent type offense.
I don't think we've had a head coach that's been able to say since Jimmy left, again, in line of this conversation, when he's speaking at any kind of event, getting ready for a season, that he can stand in front of a microphone and say the offense is going to run through this guy.
Yep.
Right? Yep. Well, they got one now.
Yeah.
And the head coach, Liam Cohen, was willing to stand up there at the combine and say it. He's like, the offense is going to run. The pass game's going to run through Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
Right? And it should. And
Makes
as
sense.
we reacted when it got said on Tuesday, Dempsey and I were like, that's the thing that stood out from what Coach had to say.
Yep.
Why did it take 3 months for the guys that were here last year to see it?
You know, it's crazy, too, because in camp, he showed what he could do.
I know.
Mean, he I remember, because we talked about it when we had the joint practice with Tampa. It was the first team, or not team, because it wasn't 11-on-11. It was 7-on-7, and it was red zone. And we had the ball, and it was towards where the fans were, that end zone. Mm-hmm. And he ran a simple out route around starting at the 10, right after the goal line. It was as smooth, and if Trevor put in the right spot, smooth as can be, and you're like, damn.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a veteran, because he set him up perfect. Like, you didn't know what he was going to do, even in that short period of,
right.
You know, you even though that area shrinks in the red zone, you're still scared to death of what that guy can do. He'll leave you in your boots. You know, he'll leave you breaking ankles. You know, that kind of thing. So, no, I mean, look, it's true. He is the centerpiece, but you still, man, we need more than him. We need definitely more than him.
There's a lot more, and that's part of the reason for the Combine. We're obviously getting ready for the NFL Draft. Players were finally on the field yesterday for the first time. They'll be back out there here over the next 3 days or 4 days at the NFL Combine. So I do think for NFL fans, it's when the big boys get on the field is when, you know, the attention's going to rise.
Yep.
Yesterday, the first group of players on the field was the defensive interior line.
Yep.
Right? And we can get into all of our reactions to what we saw from that group of guys on the field yesterday. But it was impressive. Everyone's been talking about how impressive this group looks.
Yep.
You know, going into it, my goodness, did they look good on the field yesterday. So we'll react to that. Obviously, when the offensive line gets on the field, Jaguars fans are going to be all over it, you know, trying to see what exactly this is going to be. It's a weird year in that regard, Tommy, given that there's so many players that are kind of listed at tackle, but being talked about as, I think maybe the place that they land is guard.
Yeah.
Right? And we've had players that occasionally get asked to do that kind of thing in the NFL draft, but I don't remember a year where so many of the top guys at tackle are being talked about. Their natural position might wind up being something other than tackle.
Well, I think it shows you how important the guard position is, right? Set the dish, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
But it's true because think about it. Years ago, you would never take a guard high unless he was really, really special.
Sure.
Right? Other than that, you would never draft a guard high. But today, he's a tackle, but we could play him inside and maybe move him back out later. Sure. It's great. We don't care. We want the best 5. That's all that matters. I think guys like Mekhi Becton moving inside and having the year he had. We're a copycat league. People are going to be like, oh, yeah, so what? We drafted him as a tackle, so what? Now we move him inside. He's one of our starting guards. He had a great year. Let's see him do it again and again and again, but a great year. And, we can find guys that do that. The kid from LSU they're talking about, Will Campbell, right? Mm-hmm. Campbell? Yeah. Playing guard. I'd be fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Make our line
better. I have to check myself every time on that name, too. I was like, is it Campbell or Graham? Which one am I thinking?
Right.
Like that kind of, but Will Campbell.
Yeah. Graham came in a little light.
He did. We'll
talk about that.
We can dig into that for sure as we get into all of it today, reacting to day 1 at the NFL Combine throughout the show this morning. Also, our question of the day today, what is the most that you would be willing to give up in a trade for Green Bay cornerback Jaire Alexander? Your options in the polls, 2nd-round pick, 3rd-round pick, multiple 4th to 7th-round picks, or you're not interested in trading for Jaire Alexander. We'll discuss that as we go through the show this morning. Want to get your reaction to a couple of the questions that we've had this week.
Yeah, cool.
Tommy, as we go through as well. Dylan, how are you today, my friend?
Good, man. It's finally Friday. Weekend's almost here.
Friday's the best, man.
Yeah, Friday's a good day.
Yeah, Friday is the best. And I won't lie, when the Combine coverage came on, I was on my couch for the 4. I was on my couch until the linebacker workout started. I was like, I can find something else to do. After watching the defensive ends, I was like, I'm not as interested in the linebacker workout group this year. So I was like, okay, I can find something. But for that first 4 hours of it, I was locked in the TV coverage as much for listening to the discussion being had about all these prospects as anything. It's like I can kind of tell things when I watch them work out, but not really.
Yeah, right.
I could tell because I've watched enough of the Combine. I have an idea of what it usually looks like when the defensive interior guys are on the field. Mm-hmm. This year was different, right, with those guys on the field.
I think, look, for me and the big guys especially, it's more of their instinctive reactionary movement than
100%.
Anything else. You know what I mean? Because
100%.
running a 40, you could train for the 20-yard shuttle. You could train, you know what I mean? But when you have to move on the instinct of that coach telling you which direction to go and changing direction and, when you change direction, how do you bend? Are you bending at your hips? Are you bending, not at all? Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like how do you come back?
Ankles, they describe it as.
What's that?
Stiff hips and ankles, they describe it as.
Yeah. How, can you react coming back to, from the opposite direction, backpedaling forward, all that kind of stuff. I think that's when you can see a natural type athlete.
No doubt.
Because it looks effortless. It's not like they're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just running.
Yeah.
And you happen to be timing
like
them.
That dude from Tennessee, Pierce.
Holy cow.
He's smooth as silk. Now, what's interesting? Yeah. His vertical was only 31 inches. And I was like 30. I was terrible at it. White man couldn't jump right here, let me tell you. I think my head weighed me down. I couldn't get past the head. But that was a little, because that's usually explosiveness.
Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't jump. It was weird because I was always really strong with my legs. I could squat a ton and leg press a ton and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I couldn't get up in the air.
Yeah, maybe you were the one with the tight hips.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Maybe that comes into play. Yeah. That kind of thing. Well, I am curious, Tommy. I know you didn't get the chance to do the Combine thing.
No, I didn't. I had a pro day, but I didn't go to the Combine.
But I am interested, and we'll talk about it as we get through the show today. Which of these drills do you think you would dominate if given the opportunity, if you had been given the opportunity to do them. So we'll talk about that
sure,
as we get into it and obviously continue to react. Mason Graham, I don't even know how he's strong enough to take the garbage out at 295 the way people are reacting to all of this. But it's the NFL Combine. It's something for us to react to with these guys that one of them's likely to wind up being in a Jaguars uniform. Like one or two guys that we saw work out yesterday are likely to be picks by the Jacksonville Jaguars, so it's not unimportant. Right. The things that are going on up there, we'll continue to react to that as we get into it here on a Friday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
3 ladies.
Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
3 opinions.
No, you know what? Actually, it's a good thing. I'm used to women I can figure out in 5 seconds.
3 times the fun. Exactly. Helmets and heels.
Noon to 2 on 1010XL.
Tired of a plain and boring backyard? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop choice to beautify your home. With pavers, stonework, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, pergolas, and driveways. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Get ready for ice-cold action with the Jacksonville Icemen. Experience the thrill of hockey, the excitement of the game, and the local spirit. Full promotional schedule at JacksonvilleIcemen.com. Join the Icemen for a season full of unforgettable moments.
Joe C. for Florida Home AC, and now's the time to tune up that heating and AC unit. Take advantage of their $69 seasonal tune-up special. Keep warm in the winter and cool in the summer with Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars.
This is Jaguars Today Friday, brought to you by CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Mia here. Since 1982, Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a beautiful walk-in closet that's already so incredibly functional for me and old Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com. And take advantage of extended savings this month. Get 40% off and another 15% off with 18-month special financing.
If you're tired of weekend projects turning into weekend disasters, you're not alone. Building a fence isn't as easy as it looks. And let's face it, your neighbor still hasn't fixed his lopsided masterpiece. But Superior Fence and Rail makes it easy. Highly trained professionals, top quality materials, and a fence you'll love for years to come. Skip the stress and call the pros today.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Okay, sports fans, Hicken here. Let's talk skin. I and Beaches Dermatology are reminding you all to wear your sunscreen. Spring is here, and that means more time outside. Grabbing the clubs for your tee time? Bring the screen. Heading out on the boat? Bring the screen. Headed to the beach? Definitely bring the sunscreen. All in all, make sure sunscreen is included in your outdoor activities. If you have any concerns now, give Beaches Dermatology a call. I've been seeing them for years, and my skin thanks me for it. Call today online at beachesdermatology.com.
No one knows more about fishing the First Coast than Captain Kevin Faber. The Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Reeled in by the Pest Pros at Royal Pest Services. And Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Mia O'Brien here for Pro Jax Roofing. Here at the Superstation, we talk a lot about pros. Pro football, pro baseball, pro basketball, pro sports. But if you want a true pro when it comes to your roof, you should call Mike with Pro Jax Roofing. Mike's been in the roofing biz for well over 25 years, and when you call, you don't get a recording, you get Mike himself. Find Mike Sell on ProjacksRoofingFL.com. That's ProjacksRoofingFL.com. Don't rely on the third string option. Call in the starter with Mike at Projacks Roofing.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Staying Alive, one night of the Bee Gees, a tribute like you've never seen before. Experience the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist performed live. March 6th at Jack Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. In the middle, Tom McManus. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
Oh, Tommy and I spent the whole break kicking it around.
Yeah, we're done.
Exactly.
See y'all later.
Exactly how we're reacting to everything that happened at the NFL Combine yesterday. Everyone obviously is reacting to Mason Graham measuring in with the weight that he measured in.
Yeah.
You know, and I can understand why. It's weird. I can't explain why Michigan would list him at 320.
Right.
And the combine he weighs in at 290. Like just I can't explain those two numbers being that disparate.
I think he said he played at like 308, 312,
which
somewhere
makes
in that
sense.
range.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense.
Which makes sense. And who knows what exactly the workout regimens look like here for the last several weeks.
Yeah.
You know, getting ready for whatever
right.
the offseason program is going to be
Yeah.
for that guy. I can't explain all of those things, but I understand people when they see that number in the 290s going, oh, I thought he was bigger than that. Well, we all thought he was bigger than that, but I'm with you, Tommy. I think odds are when he gets into the league and actually starts playing, he's going to be playing closer to 305, 310.
Yeah, you would think. You know, look, I mean, I don't watch all the tape on him.
Right.
You know, you see the highlights. He looks the part on the field. You know, he's wreaking havoc for the most part. You know, I'm just thinking, look, I know now everyone's like, oh, Braden Fisk comparison. I was comparing him before. I was like a 30-pound heavier Braden Fisk would be incredible. Like, you kidding me? Yeah, you can't pass that on number 5. You just can't. It's like the, Williams kid or somebody like that for the Jet. Like, you can't.
Yeah.
A D lineman like that's big, that athletic, who shows up on the film. 296. Yeah, I was like, well, that's kind of 30 pounds, maybe not 30, but 25 pounds.
Yeah.
Big difference. Now, I saw one report, and I should have cited it. I apologize. And it wasn't really a report, but the one concern could be that he has trouble with double teams, you know, and at that size, you could, unless you're just, look, if he's Braden Fisk, yeah, fantastic. You know, he's not undersized, so I don't want to say that, but
right.
I don't know. I'm hoping more for a guy so at 320, you could put him in the 1 technique and move him to the 3 technique, or keep him out there on passing downs over a guard because he's just going to kill him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Eric can do over a guard when he wants to, Eric Armstead. But when you're 296, we've seen what that is. We got that on the team now.
Yeah, I
can't be a nose at that weight.
We all can fall victim to this kind of thing. Like we have an idea in our minds of what the top players at these positions look like, and they're most of them into their second, third contracts in the league.
Yeah.
Right. And we have an idea. These are not players that came into the league generally and dominated from the moment they got it. They developed into it a little bit at some point. And you go, look, you mentioned Quinnen Williams a moment ago.
Thank you.
I hadn't looked him up. I was like, I wonder what they list him at.
Yeah.
Right. On Pro Football Reference.
Yeah, what is it?
How much do you think Quinnen Williams
Well, I'm going to just guess because we've been having this like 300.
They list him at 6'3", 303.
Yeah.
You look at that guy, 303. Are you kidding me?
See, that's what I don't get because even like Chris Jones, you said listed at 310. He's way bigger than 310.
Way
he looks way
bigger than 310. Jeffrey Simmons is listed at 305.
Yeah, he looks like he's 330.
Right. Like these guys, and that may have been what they were.
Yeah,
right.
maybe.
At one point in time, and then they get in the league and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and their games continue to develop as they go. It's why when the number even came out on Mason Graham yesterday, I was like, okay.
Okay, let me ask you this. Kenneth Grant.
Okay.
Bigger. Like he's listed at 330.
He's the bigger guy. Yeah.
What if he runs well or moves well? Or did he even participate? I didn't know if I saw him participate.
No, he didn't work out. He had a foot thing.
So they both got feet
or
things.
A mild hamstring.
He had the hammy?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think it showed up on an MRI.
Okay.
Up there, it was a very mild hamstring, but they're not pushing those guys up there.
Let's just say he moves just as well as Graham. Because they say he on tape is not as equally as impressive, but pretty darn close.
He's more the prototypical one.
Right.
Right, like he's the nose.
Which I think this team desperately needs.
I think I agree that they need that more than they need another 3 technique.
Another 3.
Right. Like I would agree that if you're differentiating, do they need one or the other more? I would agree that the position that they need to fill more is the nose tackle, finding someone that can be effective doing that kind of thing for them. But we were also, again, discussing during the break, I don't think there's a nose tackle that's being talked about in the top 5.
No.
Right?
No.
And I think the Jags picking at 5, because that's where they're picking, I would love for the need and the player to marry in some very convenient way.
Yep.
But those things don't have to be married if you're picking 5th and you're just trying to find the best player that you can get
right. I agree.
at number 5. And I think there's a really good chance that at this point in the process, Mason is that. Like, I think there's a really good chance that when they go on the clock at 5, that he will be at the top of the Jaguars list at best football players available to us in this draft.
Yep.
And him being more of a 3 technique than he is a true nose, that shouldn't scare him off making that pick. Just like it wouldn't scare me off of making the pick if it was Abdul Carter that was available to him at 5. I'd be like, I'll figure it out.
Yep.
Right? Like, I'll bring that guy in.
Yeah.
He'll get every edge snap that Eric Armstead got last year, plus something, playing some stand-up linebacker, doing something.
Yep.
We'll figure out how to make that functional for the football team. And that doesn't mean that I couldn't understand if you got caught in that spot and you said, wouldn't it be nice to trade back? I'm with you.
Yeah.
It would be nice to be able to trade back.
You can't count on that.
Right. And maybe address a position that you feel like is more the need, like direct need for the football team. But if you're stuck at 5, your job is to get the best football player you can get.
Available, no doubt about it. And look, we'll see how it all shakes out. I was saying on the break, the kid from Penn State, if he has a phenomenal work, I don't know if he'll be top 5, but he can jump.
Tight end,
Kid Tyler Warren?
Yeah.
And when I heard, I think it was Liam say yesterday, like, we could get creative. I was like, ooh, that would be creative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, you wouldn't maybe take him at 5, but maybe, I think they're in a good position, depending on how it goes. If Sanders is there at 5, not that we're going to take him, but I could see somebody trading to get up because we're not going to take him, but you probably think that, well, maybe the Raiders take him, depending. Look, if they get Stafford, who's being wooed by Tom Brady, allegedly, for the Raiders, maybe they don't go that route.
Yeah.
But somebody might jump up, and grab and want that number 5 spot for that.
Sure. But it would take one of those 2 quarterbacks slipping down to it.
Without a doubt.
You would have had to jump through the hoops of it not happening at 1, with Tennessee. Right. And them not being willing to move out of the spot, like someone potentially moving into that spot to go get one of the quarterbacks, and then the pressure's on, right? Like if there's only the two that you really love in this draft, and you are one of the teams there in the top 12 picks, basically, that really wants to address the quarterback position, well, now it's on. Because it's not like they're going to New England.
No, right.
They just got their guy.
Right.
So now we have to get ahead of the Giants, because that may be the next spot where it's going to happen.
Yeah.
In the draft at 3. So it becomes complicated, I think, to imagine that 5 is where that's going to be the fulcrum point for the quarterbacks in the draft. I don't expect that to be the way that it works out. I would love for it to work out that way.
Yeah,
I do think it gives the Jags a really good chance to move down. Their best chance to move down is that happening.
Yeah.
But it's not the scenario I would expect.
I'll tell you what, man, I don't like hearing, that these two quarterbacks wouldn't go in front of the top 6 last year. I don't like hearing that at all. That's just people talking, but I'd have to dive into that big time. That would scare me.
Yeah. I've heard minimum the top 4 last year, they wouldn't be
top
ahead.
4, yeah. So, look, I mean, you do have some options with free agency, and if you really need a QB, you could grab one of them, for a stopgap, couple years, wait, use that pick for something that is needed on your team, maybe a stud tackle or defense, whatever you need there, but
and grab another lottery ticket next year. Yeah.
Yeah, that worries me a bit, I like hearing this year how the D-line is deep. Like that's interesting.
Did they look deep yesterday?
Yeah, they did. They got some athletes out there, man, that can move, and big dudes. Who looked kind of stiff was the kid from Kentucky, the tall kid, Deloney. Is that his name? Walker, I think. Delone Walker.
Yeah.
He looked a little stiff, but, he's still going to get drafted somewhat high.
Yeah. Well, and when you're a little stiff in that group yesterday, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Like it was that group yesterday.
That kid from Oregon. I know he didn't run a great 40, but man, his feet and hips were good, man.
It was one after another.
Yeah.
Yesterday was just like, wow.
It just shows you, man, how important those guys are, right? We saw it in the Super Bowl. We saw what great D-lines can do for your team. So we're close. We've got some pieces on our D-line. We need another piece. You know what that is? What about a guy like Jonathan Allen? Would you look at him? I know you mentioned Jaire Alexander, the corner from Green Bay, but
I think you could potentially at least look
at him.
Right. I don't think it hurts to look. I'm trying to figure out exactly how to look at all this.
Because then you don't have to go D-tackle.
Right, with the trade market stuff. With Jaire Alexander or anybody.
Yeah.
Right? I don't expect the Jags to be big spenders in free agency this year.
Yeah.
I expect them, Dempsey and I have talked about this. I expect them to add 2 starters at some point before the draft.
Voids.
Right.
You got to fill a couple.
Like they're going to bring in 7, 8, 9 guys in free agency, but I expect a couple of those guys to be starters. Now, one of those could come via trade. So trying to figure out exactly what that looks like. If you're willing to spend the money that it would take to sign a starting corner in free agency, then okay, if the medical pans out for you on Jaire Alexander, then what's the big deal if you gave up a third-day pick?
Right.
We're going to spend what we spend on that. We're just not doing it in free agency, and it's costing you the draft pick. So it's not that it's not more expensive. It is. Right, to go do that. But you're getting a player that we know has played at an all-pro kind of level.
What's his injury? Is he coming off like a
last year?
Achilles
It was a knee thing.
A knee?
Yeah.
Okay. You can fix that.
And he was expected to maybe come back. For the playoff run, just wasn't quite able to get in.
I remember that. Yep.
And that's one of those where Campanile will have some idea of how close he was.
Yeah, he'll have a first-hand look at that.
Right, to whether or not he was getting back on the field up there in Green Bay, that kind of thing. But I do think defensive tackle is kind of the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where if you're going to look at Jonathan Allen, it's like, well, we were thinking we were going to do this in the draft or in free agency. We're adding a body in this spot. Are we willing to give up a pick at this kind of range and the money, because the contract's already done. Right at that point. So are we willing to pay the premium on that kind of thing to get the player? It's the question that you really have to be asking.
And look, you have to think, like most of the time, I know we're talking about having a 1 technique and a 3 technique,
Yeah.
but when you're a nickel, it's not 1 and 3. You're both inside. You're like inside the guards. I don't know whatever that 2-eye or whatever it is.
Right.
But you're not necessarily over the center a bunch, right? You're over that guard. And if you think about it, that we have Mason Smith, we have Eric Armstead, who's the third. You'd like to have 3. I think you would.
Mm-hmm.
You'd like to have 3 inside. You'd like to have 3 outside that you can rotate, ideally.
Yeah.
And then the other 2, they just help out when needed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
you need a lot of bodies.
You do need a third on both of those guys.
Yeah.
But can you do it with free agents? Like, so for me, if Jaire was to become a Jaguar, and the health and everything's got to be a part of it, be good. I would not want looking. You don't need to look at a corner. You got a couple young corners. You've got Jaire Jones, who you like.
Mm-hmm.
I think Prince, I want to see him get action.
I haven't heard anyone say a word about it.
Yeah,
and I would
I
love
hope
to
he
know
gets
how
some
they
action.
feel about that guy. Like, what is the evaluation on
think
DeAndre
he can
Prince?
cover, man. He limited reps, but he was on point a lot over camp.
But it does feel like they're going to have to add a corner, I think, at some point, and maybe 2 safeties. So there's a lot of work to be done there. They do feel like they need a nose.
Yeah.
They still need to add a third edge. There's a lot of places on defense, which we'll get into because that was one of the questions of the week this week that I wanted to get into with you, is along those kind of lines. We'll be checking in from Indianapolis. Demetrius Harvey going to join us here in about 25 minutes from up at the NFL Combine as he covers the Jaguars for the Florida Times-Union. When we return, let's stick on a similar topic along the same kind of lines that we're talking about here. What would an ideal offseason for the Jacksonville Jaguars look like from here? Coach is in place.
Yeah.
GM is in place.
Yeah.
What is obviously free agency is the next big step in this process before we get into the draft. What exactly does an ideal offseason look like for the Jacksonville Jaguars? We'll kick that around as we continue along. It's a Friday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010 XL.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Your radio highlight reel.
Caught for the touchdown.
1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
This is Daytona, the awe-inspiring spectacle of Supercross, and the most challenging course to witness the air-catching, adrenaline-pumping, heart-pounding action unlike any other race in Florida. Daytona Supercross. The biggest names battle it out under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Don't miss it. The gate drops Saturday, March 1st. Secure your tickets and trackside access today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to ITPPartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
This is Jaguars Today Friday, brought to you by CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy, you look worried.
Worried? I'm apoplectic!
You're what now?
I'm freaking out, Jason. Stupid water heater crapped out, so I haven't showered since Thursday. I start smelling a little funky, blow my big corporate job interview tomorrow. I'll end up settling for some dead-end career selling spatulas on the internet.
Dude, stay cool.
There's nothing cool about a cold shower, Jason. I mean, I know how that sounds, but
Bueller Air and Plumbing can get a new water heater installed today. The day you call. You could be smelling fresh again by dinner time.
Wait, you can do that?
Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Is that cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Well, life moves pretty fast. If you spend much more time smelling like this, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
When you're hungry for midday sports talk, share a table with Helmets and Heels.
It's a bad idea to travel on an empty stomach.
Mia, Lauren, and Taylor. We like hungry.
Switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Noon to 2 weekdays on 1010XL.
How much does a cloud weigh? The answer coming right up.
It's always a good idea to compare homeowners' insurance rates instead of renewing year in and year out. Log on to southernoak.com and get an instant quote in minutes.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
According to the National Geological Society, a normal cumulus cloud can weigh up to 1 million pounds, or about 500 tons.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours.
DUI? DUI? Don't stress. Call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW for Malcolm Anthony.
If you're listening to 1010 and you're a parent, chances are your kids are playing sports. Well, check out i9sports.com. With spring and summer registration open right now, including all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. i9sports.com, enter 1010 for a discount.
Frank Frangie here. When you're inside the Kuhn Flower showroom, you'll find a wide array of gift ideas that will take care of any gift-giving situation. Spend a few minutes there and you'll see for yourself. That's Kuhn Flowers on Beach Boulevard.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here from the Blue Crab Crab House. February means the Mardi Gras menu returns to the Blue Crab Crab House. Gumbo, shrimp Orleans, blackened redfish, appetizers, dessert, and more. This includes, of course, their regular menu where you get crabs from the Alaskan waters, the Canadian waters, the Southern Georgia waters. It's only at the Blue Crab Crab House. Doors open at 4:30, San Jose, and, of course, Julington Creek Road.
Follow Florida Gators men's basketball on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farrah and Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators. 1010XL is presented by Farrah and Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window on 1010XL.
We want to get into what an ideal offseason for the Jaguars would look like, but before we get into that topic right here, let's head out to the phone lines for the first time here today. Steve in Melbourne has dialed us up at 641-1010. What's going on today, Steve?
Hey, not too much, guys. How you doing, Tommy?
All right, doing good, Steve. Doing good.
I just have a draft question, and it's about O-line, because we do need O-line, especially interior. I just wanted to get your thoughts. I don't know if you've seen the tape, but everybody's saying Will Campbell. It's a tackle, hoping he transitions. But, like, the name like Kelvin Banks out of Texas, it's like that name disappeared, he was the top tackle in the country last year. Or if we do need interior, I mean, why not trade back and get the actual best, at least right now, best interior rated, which Tyler Booker, who played guard out of Alabama, instead of – because, Tommy, you played the sport. Not every tackle is able to transition to the inside.
No, we've seen that. We've seen that here in Jacksonville.
So I just wanted your thoughts. Like, should we actually draft a guy who's played the position – or hope and pray a tackle transitions well?
Right. Well, first of all, I don't think that left tackle is set in stone today. I think it's set in some ink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walker Little is our left tackle.
And even if he is, he may only be the left tackle for this year, maybe next year.
Right.
Right? Like, this is not a long-term thing. They can get out of it pretty much whenever they want.
My point is if they have Campbell or Banks, depending on when they pick, rated as their highest player, they're going to go tackle. And they need a tackle. They need a guard. They need a tackle. They need both, in my opinion. It's not as pressing because Walker can hold down the fort. You know, he's okay. He's not. I'm not trying to say he's terrible, but he's not what I would consider a stud left tackle. You know how I feel. I think he could be, but he's not. But he is our starter, so you can get by with him. But I want more than just get by. I want a stud. I'd like to have a stud left tackle. I mean, think about how many years, including with Cam, did we go through same tackles, and we just got accustomed to them being okay. You know what I mean? To where, yeah, he's good enough. He's okay. He's not bad. You know, maybe on occasion he's great. You know what I mean? Like, we just haven't had that for a long time. So, if you're at number 5 and Campbell's the guy and Graham's not there, yeah, I'm okay with them going that route.
And if he plays guard for a couple of years,
whatever.
If he can do that, that's fine.
Or he plays tackle and you keep Ezra at guard or whatever. Or maybe you try a different, or you still got multiple picks. You can get a big guard.
Oh, yeah.
You know, second, third round, maybe.
Yeah, like I'd be surprised. I'm with you, Tommy. I'd be surprised if out of the picks they have this year, they don't take 2 offensive linemen of some sort.
Yep.
And 1 interior defensive lineman. Like, I would be surprised if there aren't 3 picks that are kind of, in my mind, set aside for that kind of thing.
Do the first 4 picks. You got a first, a second, and 2/3. What positions do you want to see covered? Or how do you want those to go?
Well,
same kind of deal, and then the 4th would be something else, or what are you thinking?
I think guard, you can even go later than that.
Okay.
Potentially. I don't think that has to be necessarily in those first 4 picks, but I'm not opposed to it being in it.
Okay.
Right? Like, it's one of those things where, yeah, I'm very much in favor of Mason Graham being the pick.
Okay.
There at number 5, but it doesn't have to be. And the other positions that I have in my head for that right now are the flexible offensive line that we're talking about here would be in there, and wide receiver are really
another target. Like
Tet McMillan would be the other guy that I'm thinking about. If Abdul Carter slipped that far, 100% I'm in on that.
Yep.
You know, that kind of thing. It's 5. It's wide open to me. I think if you're looking at those first 4 picks and the positions I would like to see handled in some kind of order. Doesn't have to be in order of 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, right.
Unnecessarily, but I would say defensive interior.
Yep.
Given the depth of the class, I would say defensive interior, something on the offensive line.
Yep.
Could be tackle.
Tackle
could
or
be
guard. I agree.
Right, but one of those.
But one of them at least.
And probably, like I said, I think you can wait to take another interior offensive lineman beyond.
Okay.
Those first 4 picks, potentially, I would say edge.
Edge.
Probably in there.
Fair.
And
receiver, a target.
Beyond the first round, though, I'm not real high on any of the receivers in this draft. Like, it's kind of Tet McMillan or I can wait.
Yeah.
You know, like just kind of a flyer type of thing with that. So
I'd take a run at that Tyler Warren. I mean, I don't know how you figure that out.
Yeah, tight end would be a consideration.
For
and
him,
they're talking
anyway.
about this being a pretty strong
tight end class.
So, yeah, those positions would probably be where my focus would be.
Yeah, I think like if you added free agency into the mix, I mean, look, you got to have O-line, you got to have interior D-line, safety, and then corner. And then for me, it would be another target after that, unless you get somebody that's just he's phenomenal, like the Tet kid or the Warren kid, whatever that high. I don't know if I'd take him at 5, but in that range, I'm okay with that because you need a new safety. You need a new safety.
I need 2.
Might.
I'm not saying you have to. It does feel like if you went into the season and Andrew Wingard had to play a bunch of snaps for you, I think you'd be okay. You wouldn't be great, but you'd be okay.
Can Antonio Johnson not play that free position? I mean, he seems like he's got all the athletic ability.
He got the opportunity to play last year, and it just
it was not, although Chris Richards is supposed to be a great defensive back coach. I don't know.
Like, I do think there's the room at safety for one of those guys to be able to step into at least a pretty prominent role.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to add 1. You might need to add 2, right, to that room, depending on how you feel about it. You probably need to add a corner. You need to add a third edge.
Yeah.
You need to add interior defensive line. Like, on defense, they have so many places where they are really going to be looking for players.
What happened to Cisco, man? I mean, he was on the rise, and then you keep hearing, like, last year, like, he was targeted a lot. We saw that. He was out of position a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like
it's
man,
funny.
I just don't know. You go from being like you're on the way, it's Cisco Kid, here we go, and then what happens? Do you not prepare as much? Remember when he was in front of the camera saying, "Yeah, there's some guys in here that aren't doing whatever." Remember that? It was week 4 or 5.
Yeah.
After a game, wasn't he interviewed after a game, and he's like, "Yeah, guys aren't."
He was talking about guys
quitting, right, and that kind of thing, and I mean, I don't know if he did that, but just how do you go from somebody without getting injured? Now, injuries can totally derail you, or a concussion or something like that. But without any of that, how do you go from an ascending player to a descending player? I know the answer. It's got to be the attitude. It's got to be your you know, the way you're approaching your game.
Now the building doesn't have the guy who drafted him, so
to back him up,
like any kind of clout, like all of that's out the door.
No doubt.
So that's why the overwhelming feeling is Andre Cisco's not going to be back. It is funny though when you look at the free agent ranking list going into the offseason, if you need a safety, you're going to be able to find a safety somewhere in free agency. But it is funny. Andre Cisco is listed as the 3rd or 4th best available on most of those
Morig,
lists.
right? You got Holland and Morig.
Right, like that kind of thing.
And then
so
Reed,
it's,
maybe.
And this one's even funnier to me. When you look at the list of expected free agent guards, Brandon Sheriff, I have not seen listed lower than 3rd.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they're looking for a major upgrade over Brandon Sheriff in free agency. What exactly does that look like? And now Kansas City's saying Trey Smith is not going to be available.
No,
they're going to franchise tag.
Let him go either.
No.
Keeping that big boy for sure. I don't know. Listen, you hear, look, with Liam as the OC down in Tampa, what they did in a year with the run game. And you've heard Grant talk about how his style, his system helps the offensive line block more efficiently.
Sure.
So maybe there's something to that. One thing about Sheriff is he's a tough hombre. So I do like that about him.
What he's played through
He's
the
a
last
grizzly, tough, you don't want to mix it up with him type of guy. And I think that's good for our offensive line. Look, I don't know. Again, you go back to last year and you take position groups and who you want to put the quote-unquote fault on, the O-line's not near the top. The D-line's near the top. Mm-hmm. The defense is near the top.
Defense.
The offense, the O-line was – I'm not saying they were dominant. You need to upgrade them, but that's not why we were 4-13 last year.
No, but you do have a coach and a GM that are coming in, and they're stressing it so hard. Yeah. And Tony Vaselli, is going to be pushing that side of it so hard. Like, big bodies is what you would expect the Jags to really focus on this offseason. It is funny – this time of year, though, Tommy, you're starting to see around the league teams it's the combine. Everyone's talking to everybody. All 32 teams basically are in the room at the same time talking about needs, what they'll be doing going into the offseason. Show me the first time you find a team this offseason when they're asked about their needs that doesn't say offensive line. Let me know.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like, it's
you're right.
always a need in the NFL. You are not alone.
Right.
Jacksonville, and trying to go find bodies that are actually going to be available. It's why Brandon Sheriff is going to be listed at 3rd or 4th among free agent guards. These guys don't hit free agency. When you find one, you do exactly what Kansas City's doing. It's like, what do you think? We're nuts? No. He's not going to be a free agent. If he's going to be a Pro Bowl level player at that position for us, no. We're not letting that walk out the door. The cost is not going to be anywhere near prohibitive enough to prevent us from figuring out how to keep him long term. It's too hard to replace it.
Yeah. No, I agree with
so everyone's going to be looking for it.
Yeah.
So even the small amount of bodies that are available to actually help you improve, you better hit on it in the draft.
Yeah.
It's the lesson that needs to be taken out of this.
The one thing I do like about Tony being the EVP is I saw where he's in on the offensive line interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, he's going to get a good feel what kind of guy they are. And that's what's needed on this team. We need more Tony Baselli type attitude guys that care enough to want to be great, care enough to want to help their team win, and will do whatever it takes in order to do that. I think that's a good thing. But look, I mean, I do, again, we need to upgrade our O-line. Look, you probably got to look at center eventually. Mitch is
Maybe
getting
one
up there
more
in
year.
age,
Yeah,
right?
with Morse, yeah.
And I like Morse. He had a good year overall. I still like Brandon Sheriff, but I could see them going younger. I could see that. I wouldn't give him a long term. I don't want to talk about another guy's money, but I could see him come back. Anton, you have all the tools. I don't know what went on last year, sophomore, slump. Maybe you're doing other stuff, instead of focusing on. Hopefully you get back to focusing on your craft because you are one of the up-and-coming right tackles, and we need you. I think Ezra had a good year last year overall. I thought he was more physical as the year went by. He's extremely athletic. He can, I know, maybe I think he can kick out and play left tackle for you in a pinch if you need him to. And Walker's okay, so I would upgrade Walker, but knowing that he's there is a good thing, because he's a good safety net, at least for the time being. But again, when I look at this team, I want to upgrade it, but I'm looking, man, our defense was just dreadful last year.
Yeah.
They gave up more leads over stupid stuff, missed assignments, blown whatever it was, missed tackles, blown coverage, guys open, whatever the deal was, it was consistently them. Doesn't mean you don't upgrade the offense because you do have to. And by the way, a lot of that running game with the zone blocking, it's all timing. And I guarantee you, I watch the replay, right, on Mondays. I know in my notes I wrote they missed the hole or they missed the timing. So Liam's got to clean that up.
Yeah.
Right? So my point is, I guess, overall, can we win with the current offensive line? Can we win with it?
They did 2 years ago and 3 years ago,
So
essentially.
It got upgraded, but as far as a pressing need, so if you ask me today, right now, can we win with this D-line? I'd be like, What's Eric giving me at 3 technique? Is he giving me the old Eric, or what is he giving me?
It's maybe the most stunning thing about the football team is that they were as bad as they were on defense with Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker on the front.
And
right?
Mason's coming on. I like
right.
Mason Smith.
Right. It's that they're getting no punch from anywhere else on the defense, basically.
No.
Last year. It's not like they didn't have 2 guys that could punch. They did.
Right.
They had nobody else that was helping that out on any level.
No.
Basically
Especially
last
inside.
year. It was crazy to see how just behind they were in that particular area.
Yep.
We're going to head up to Indianapolis at the NFL Combine next. Demetrius Harvey from the Florida Times-Union going to join us here on the show, and we'll get the latest. I think the quarterbacks were at the podium today. Not that we care. Quarterbacks are available in the draft, but quarterbacks and running backs, I believe, up there speaking today at the NFL Combine. So we'll get the latest from up in Indianapolis next. Demetrius Harvey joining us here on Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
Estimated in 10 seconds.
Well, why don't you just turn it on and see what it does?
Our sports radio is 1010XL.
I knew it!
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
Hey, John, have you heard about the incredible offers at Randy Marion Cadillac?
They've got rates as low as 3.9% for 36 and 48 months on the stunning 2024 Escalade.
That's right. Experience luxury like never before. Whether it's the exquisite interior or the advanced technology, every drive feels like a royal experience.
Visit Randy Marion Cadillac today on Southside Boulevard in Jacksonville.
And don't forget, Randy Marion is the king of price. Drive and indulge in luxury at Randy Marion Cadillac.
Plus tax tag title 999 admin fee with Resistol and approved credit.
Call the deck guys if you want a brand new deck pavers or more. Call 904-813-2474.
TheDeckGuysJacks.com.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
This is Jaguars Today Friday, brought to you by CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to...
Husband and wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky@goosehead.com.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to carlsondentalgroup.com.
Stops working when it gets the best solution. Heater and heat pump repair service and new system installation. They do it all. Just call.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. Are you tired of wrestling with your old shower curtain? Then say goodbye to the curtain chaos and hello to a new frameless shower enclosure. Wago Glass is clear, classy, and won't stick to you like a toddler at bedtime. Plus, it makes your bathroom look bigger and brighter. Upgrade your shower experience and step into style. Call me at Baker Glass and get ready to love your new glass shower enclosure. Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. Liam Cohen has been known as an offensive guru throughout his several stints in the NFL and college. With this being Cohen's first opportunity to run not only an offense but a team himself, many are questioning if he's got what it takes. Jags Executive Vice President of Football Operations Tony Baselli says not to worry. Cohen is a leader through and through, speaking to Frank Frangie at the Combine.
The dude knows how to coach offensive football. And so what I wanted to know, what kind of guy is he? Could I project him being the leader of the whole building? Because in our model, the head coach is the voice of the football organization. He's going to set the culture. He's going to coach those players. He's going to manage his coaching staff. And he's going to lead us to victory on the football field. So it's not just being a great offensive coordinator, but can he be a great leader? And it just jumped off the page that he was that type of guy.
It's 71 degrees at 11:03. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Tom McManus.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
Ooh, you don't love seeing stuff like this out at the Combine. Not an injury, anything like that. Yeah. But Clarence Hill reporting just here in the last half hour or so that Arizona wide receiver Ted McMillan not expected to run the 40 at the Combine or his pro day, per word on the street in Indianapolis. Wow. I don't know if he's dealing with some kind of injury, but if he's not, what is happening?
What is that?
With Ted McMillan? And
I mean, the initial reaction is he's hiding something. Like
I don't know how it could be anything else.
I don't. Here's what again. So just for background, my 40 in college wasn't great. Like, it was like a 4.95, 4.9, maybe 5 flat, somewhere in that range. I got better as I got older. With the Jags, I ran like a 4.8 on grass. So I ended up figuring it out. But, you know, if I could run, if I could throw, I'd be like, yeah, I want to show it off. Are you kidding me?
You would think so.
Yeah, I want to run a 4.5 and show the world I run a 4.5.
The only place in your entire life where it'll mean anything.
Right. I'd be like, let's go. If I can jump to the moon, let me
I
do
don't
it
care
10,
what 40 you
times.
run in 2 years. Like,
Right.
this is the only time anyone's going to measure it and it means anything. But
run
Ted
50
McMillan,
40s. I don't care.
Yeah, apparently at least not going to be doing that. We'll see how that turns out for him as we head up to Indianapolis for the Hodges Mazda at the Avenues presents the Combine coverage on 1010XL, brought to you by Window World of Northeast Florida. Demetrius Harvey joining us on the show. Demetrius, how are things up there in Indy?
Everything's going pretty well, I think, at least from my perspective. You know, I'm able to get some work done. We're able to talk to the Jaguars coach and GM and all these players, and seems to go pretty smooth like it is every year.
Yeah. What is your reaction to Ted McMillan not running the 40? I know that's got to be a little bit of the buzz going in the building right now.
Yeah, him not running the 40, I guess, is I don't know if it was supposed to be a surprise or not. I don't really expect many prospects, especially if they have a questionable 40 or whatever coming into the Combine. I don't expect them to run it at the Combine. They'll usually do it at their pro days. I don't really make too much of it. You know, I think that he does probably need to show teams that he's a little bit faster than what maybe looks like on film. But I do think that he is more than a 50-50 catch guy because of what we've seen over the years at Arizona. You know, he's not only just catching balls over guys' heads, you know, he's able to separate, he's able to do different things. So I think we'll see more stuff at his pro day, but, you know, him not running the 40 doesn't really bother me today.
Demetrius, great to talk to you, my man. Were you there at the podium when Mason Graham was at the podium? Curious, just what did you think about just looking at him? I saw the weight come in at 296. I know people are talking about it, but just from your perspective, did he look like a, I don't know, gigantic human being, or like, how did he look to you as a prospect?
He in my opinion, he looked built. I mean, he looked big. He looked like a guy who plays defensive tackle.
Okay.
You know, when he measured in at 296, I was kind of a little bit surprised because he's such a tall and big guy. You know, I think he's 6'3".
Yeah.
You know, I thought he would be at least 305 or something. But yeah, you know, I think that he looks the part. I'm really interested. I don't think he did any of the drills yesterday. I'm not sure, but I'm really interested to see how he moves at his pro day. But I don't have any issue with it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Demetrius Harvey joining us, covers the Jaguars for the Florida Times Union. He's up there in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine. This week, you got to hear from Liam Cohen and James Gladstone earlier this week. What is your big takeaway from the first few opportunities you've had to talk to James Gladstone?
Yeah, it's interesting. I just, I guess one of the takeaways is you can tell he's really new to not the profession in general, but new to the Jaguars job. You know, he doesn't have everything keyed in. He doesn't know exactly which direction he wants to take the franchise because he's still getting to know it. But from what I've seen and heard and just from talking with him, he seems like a really bright individual. Yeah, he's only 34, but you know he's learned from Les Snead over the last decade. You know he's been able to be a sponge basically, and honestly they have similar mannerisms. I don't know if you guys have sort of caught that, but you know I do think that he's a guy that has a good head on his shoulders. He seems really smart. He seems to be a innovative guy, someone who's forward thinking. I thought one thing that was really interesting was someone asked him about arm length or whatever. You know, does that matter to him? And he said, go ahead and look at my past draft or our past draft with the Rams, and then that'll answer your question. And if you guys remember, obviously they took Braden Fisk in the second round, and he had like 31-inch arms. So yeah, I think that he's a forward-thinking guy. He's somebody that the team desperately needed. They needed all those kind of guys. They needed a Liam Cohen to come in and be innovative. They need a James Gladstone. They need a Tony Baselli. You know, those types of people who are more modern, more forward-thinking rather than the old guard.
Yeah, I got them all up there too, so they can get to know each other a little bit better, which is a great thing. I know up there at the Combine, a lot of deals being talked about, at least free agency. Any whispers amongst the brass where maybe we could be looking at a Jonathan Allen, a Harold Landry, a Holland down in Miami. Hearing anything on that front, Demetrius?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't heard too much on the free agency front as far as the Jaguars are concerned. More so, things that I've already known or have already said. I don't expect Andre Sisco to re-sign with the team. Yep. I expect him to be going somewhere else. I don't think that that's a surprise to anybody, but that's something that I've heard for a while, and it's still the case now. So, but as far as them bringing in free agents, I'm not exactly sure. I would expect them to be active, a little bit active in terms of being able to fill in some immediate needs, like right guard.
Yep.
But I'm not exactly sure right now what direction they're going to head in.
I have thought for the last few years, Demetrius, that Doug Peterson is a pretty good X's and O's coach, but whatever motivation this team was going to find, they'd have to find it inside the locker room because he's not the rah-rah guy, right? Like the energy is whatever the energy is, and he just kind of keeps the soup stirring, right? Like that's kind of what his role has been. How much better a motivator in that regard do you think Liam Cohen is or isn't likely to be here for the franchise?
I think he could be a really good one because, he's a young guy too. He's 39 years old. It's not like Doug was ancient or anything, but he did come from that sort of old school mentality of coaching, that Andy Reid, sort of mentality of coaching. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Obviously, Andy Reid just has so much success, but it is something to where this new modern era of football players that are coming in, they need somebody who can relate to them, honestly. And so I think that at this point in the Jaguars, where they are in their build, I do think that it's important for them to have a coach that can come in, relate to them, understand their needs, address them, and then move forward. And I think that Liam Cohen really is the guy, at least for now, in terms of that part of it. He's really the guy to do that.
Demetrius Harvey here with us on 1010XL. Demetrius, what are your thoughts on the future of Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram? Or will they both be back? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I do think that there is going to have to be something done with Christian Kirk's contract, whether that's an extension, meaning, you add a couple years and get that cap room down. They don't necessarily need to, but if you just look at the makeup of the team, if they want to be active in free agency, or if they want to be able to make some moves via the trade market, whatever it may be, they're going to have to start, making some decisions on different guys. And then also you got to think too, how much in the future is Christian Kirk going to have in Jacksonville? Is even if they don't do anything with this contract, he's a free agent after this season. So you have to look toward the future.
Yep.
Do you want to move on from Christian now and then go ahead and draft his replacement and sort of cut clean, or do you want to sort of carry it and extend that and have to force yourself to do it next year? So I do think that something will happen with Christian Kirk's contract if he's not released. I also know that obviously Trevor Lawrence is going to have a huge say in that, and I know if he had his way, he would keep Christian. As far as Evan goes, I haven't heard too much of anything in that regard. For me, I would lean toward him staying, if only because they don't have anything really else except for Britton Strange on that roster. So I would say that go ahead and pencil in Evan Ingram, but anything could change, obviously.
Last one here with you, Demetrius. How far away do you believe the Jaguars are from competing for a playoff spot in 2025?
Yeah, I don't know if people will like this answer, but I do think that they're closer than obviously 4-13. Okay, I do think that they're a closer team than what they put on the field last year, but I do think they're further away than maybe people would like. I think that this roster has a lot of holes, a lot of pieces that need to be added on both sides of the ball. Offensive line needs to be upgraded completely. I would say 2 out of 5 of those positions, and then perhaps 3, depending on what happens with Walker Little and how he progresses. So defensive line, the same thing, and in the cornerback, there's just so many holes. I just can't see them competing exactly right this year, this second, because of how much change, how much they have to get done. But this is a team that's better than the team that was put on the field last year, in my opinion.
Demetrius Harvey, thanks for your time, man. Enjoy these last couple days of the Combine, and we'll talk to you again soon, my friend.
Appreciate you guys. See you in free agency.
All right. Beautiful. Demetrius Harvey joining us from the NFL Combine. It's fun. We got a couple of questions from earlier this week, Tommy, and one we've kind of circled around here throughout the show this morning, including here in the last couple of minutes. I'm very curious to get your answer to that as we continue to take a look at, something along the lines of how far away are the Jags from competing in 2025?
Yep.
And some of these things kind of point us in that direction. Obviously, we'll get to our answer to the question of the day today as well. Before we wrap it up here this morning, what is the most that you would be willing to give up in a trade for Green Bay cornerback Jaire Alexander? Your options in the poll today: 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick, 4th to 7th round pick. So day 3 picks, or not interested in acquiring Jaire Alexander via trade. We'll talk about that. But next, I got to ask Tommy about it. Specifically, one of our questions earlier this week that we've been kicking around all week long since we asked it, and we may be asking a similar one next week. So the fans out there know exactly what I'm about to ask Tommy about when we get back here. It's a Friday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. That's right. You've heard myself, Hacker, Matt Hayes talk about it. Awaken 180 Weight Loss is going to help you drop those pesky pounds that have been hanging around your midsection or anywhere else for way too long at this point. They're going to help you eat to lose weight. That's right. You eat to lose weight. It's not a fad diet. There are no medications, no injections, anything like that. Awaken 180 is going to show you how to turn your body into a fat-burning machine. And the beauty of it is you pick a goal weight. They're going to help you achieve that goal. You're going to do it pretty rapidly. I did my 25 pounds in about a month. Hacker, he's well over 100 pounds. Once you hit that goal weight, you're going to have free coaching and support for life. That's right, free coaching and support for life. It's been the backbone of the Awaken 180 program now for over 10 years, helping 23,000 plus clients lose a combined 750,000 pounds. You can be next. Go online, schedule your free consultation at awaken180weightloss.com.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL. There's a reason why people love to listen to play-by-play on the radio.
This is unbelievable what we're witnessing. I'm serious.
1010XL, Jacksonville's home for play-by-play.
Epic Florida Heat is on its way. Epic Cool Heating and Air will check out your AC system and keep you epically cool. Stay epically comfortable and visit epicHVACservice.com. That's epicHVACservice.com.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees comes to Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts March 6th. A tribute like you've never seen before. Staying Alive features the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist, performed live. Experience Night Fever, More Than a Woman, How Deep Is Your Love, and more live on stage. Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees, March 6th at Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
This is Jaguars Today Friday, brought to you by CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living.
The LPGA Stars of Tomorrow are at the Epson Tours Atlantic Beach Classic, presented by Access Golf, March 6th through the 8th at Atlantic Beach Country Club. Tickets available at AtlanticBeachClassic.com. See the ladies shine on the First Coast.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
I'm Max Fink on your Gator station. 1010XL is your pipeline to Gator Nation. Listen to the Gator Report all year round.
Freshened up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators. 1010XL.
Go Gators!
This is Daytona, the awe-inspiring spectacle of Supercross, and the most challenging course to witness the air-catching, adrenaline-pumping, heart-pounding action unlike any other race in Florida. Daytona Supercross. The biggest names battle it out under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Don't miss it. The gate drops Saturday, March 1st. Secure your tickets and trackside access today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Look, it's kind of cooling down right now. I love opening my windows up this time of year. If you're looking to upgrade your windows in your home, I want you to visit the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. Ask about their latest hurricane and impact-resistant windows and doors, rated #1 by Consumer Reports in all 3 main window categories. You want quality, style, and protection? Visit PellaJacks.com and the showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. That's Pella Windows and Doors online at PellaJacks.com.
What's happening, folks? E.T. here, and get out of the house and crush those New Year's resolutions on the beautiful trails of Clay County. With perfect weather, now's the time to explore Jennings State Forest, Mike Rose Gold Head State Park, and Belmore State Forest. And after your hike, refuel at one of Clay's local favorites, like Dalton's Sports Grill or the Corner Pocket. Clay is my home, so I can promise you my people will take care of you. Trust me, just visit exploreclay.com and share those adventures at #ExploreClay.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. At Terminix, we know how to stop termites. These destructive pests have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so do we. And their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem? Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's number 55.
Tom McManus.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
Want to ask Tommy a couple questions we've had on the show this week. Also need to take a look around the league here in just a moment. But before we get to that, let's go back out to the phone lines. Fan Cam, it's a Friday, so we know Fan Cam's calling to chat with his friend Tommy Mack. What's going on this morning, Fan Cam?
Hey, good morning, guys. Getting geeked up for the golf tournament coming up and free agency and the draft. It's an exciting time of year all the way around. I'll answer your question going into the break that I think we are not far away at all from being a very competitive playoff team. And to give you an idea of the contrast between the 2017 team, which I think we all agree should have gone to the Super Bowl, we had 11 penalties. The New England Patriots had 0 on offense and defense. And I think that was a Super Bowl-bound team if that game's called properly. And, yeah, look at the comparison of the players between that offense and this. Would you rather have Lawrence or Bortles? Would you rather have Brian Thomas and Christian Kirk or Alan Hearns and Marquise Lee? Would you rather have ETN and a young Bigsby or an aging Fournette? Would you rather have Ingram and Strange, or would you rather have Koyak and Mercedes Lewis? I think at the ball handler positions all across the field, this team is poised to explode on offense. Last year was the worst coaching I've ever seen on both sides of the ball. And I really don't even need to go into it. When you don't throw Brian Thomas the ball in the second half of the opener after he's counted for 2 touchdowns in the first half, that pretty much says it all. So I'd like you guys' take on how far we are away on defense compared to that 2017 team. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and go Jags.
All right. I would say as far away as the team was on offense now, right? Right. Like, you compare that offense to this offense, and I'll also add Fournette was a rookie that year.
So I'm going Bortles, by the way.
He wasn't.
Give Bortles Brian Thomas Jr., man. See what he can do. He would have 45 touchdowns instead of 35.
He did throw touchdowns a lot.
He did
during his time here in Jacksonville.
He was a gamer. Obviously, Trevor's loaded with talent.
But yeah, if you let this current team with the pieces they have on offense play with that defense, yeah, they'd probably be playing. They'd be competing.
All right, tell me that Eric Armstead's going to be as dominating as Calais Campbell, and I'll be like, all right, maybe.
Yeah, they don't have anything close to that.
No.
They don't. They certainly don't have two corners that were playing at all-pro level.
No doubt.
In the same year.
No doubt.
Yannick Ngakoue was a player that was coming into his own on the defensive side of the ball. Like they are.
And we don't have the linebacker was so good. Florida State.
Oh, Telvin.
Telvin Smith.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Like Foyer's a really good player.
He is.
Right?
Telvin was special.
Like he's a really good player, but Telvin was something else.
Yep.
And it didn't last all that long, but it was something else.
Absolutely.
His time here. So yeah, do I think they're anything close to 17? No. And
no.
It would be asking the question about how prepared I think they are or close they are to a playoff team in 2025. There weren't a whole lot of people that thought that they were a playoff team in 17. Right, like going into the whole thing.
Right.
Calais Campbell is the only person I can remember who said it, and he said it in free agency when he was asked about why was Jacksonville the place that he wound up choosing to go. Among the options, he's like, I see a path to them going to the playoffs more easily than a bunch of the other teams that were talking to him. And we were like, well, that's nice of him to say. You know, that was kind of all of our reaction.
Sure, Calais. The money helped too, I think.
That's cool. And then he got here, and they did what they did right that season. So surprise us. You know, I'm very open to the team figuring out a way to surprise us this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's definitely potential. And again, I'm going to go back to, there were times that are documented where they were getting blown off the ball, the D-line, without question. But a lot of their miscues and mishaps weren't because they were getting out physical. It was because they were out of position, missing assignments, mental errors. Not taking the right angles, not reading the plays the right way.
Over and over again. Whatever the accountability that needed to be there wasn't there.
Never there. Yeah. Was never there. And it wasn't there under Caldwell either, it didn't seem. So that didn't change whatsoever. So if you think of it in that regard, so out of the 13 losses last year, how many were because of mishaps and miscues at the end? Let's just say, I don't know, less than half. Half would be, it's not fair to say half, like they're going to win, another 6 games. But could they win another 4 based on just on that rhetoric? If they cleaned up the mistakes with the same talent or most of the same talent, could they get to 8 wins?
If they split,
I think the answer is yes.
Right? Like if they split the other 10 one-score games that they lost.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're 9 wins.
They're a 9-win football team last year. And I think that's why the frustration is at the kind of level that it was at when there wasn't enough change happening. People were like, how can we go back to anything that was involved? Whatever was not happening in the building that would get them over whatever this hump is.
Right.
Because they're close. They weren't that far away from being the same level of competitive that they had been the last couple of years. So how do they at least get back to that?
Yep.
And we'll see. We'll see if they're going in the right direction to allow those kind of things to happen in the building, but they're trying.
Well, listen, Liam and his staff, especially Liam, from the get-go, he's got to lay down what's expected.
Yeah.
And stick to it.
Yeah, the standard is the standard.
And
as one of the guys used to say when he was around here. Not a very successful head coach,
right?
But it was not a bad thing to live by as a coach. The standard is the standard. I want to get to a couple of questions with you, Tommy. We may have to wait a segment to do that, though. But first, let's take a look around the National Football League.
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Ian Rappaport reported on Thursday that sources have told him Kansas City is still hoping to work out a long-term deal with guard Trey Smith, but that they are willing to use the franchise tag on him if they're unable to get that deal worked out before the March 4th deadline. To apply the franchise tag, Smith would get $23.4 million on the tag, which would make him the highest-paid guard in NFL history on that one-year tag. We've all been wondering which position Travis Hunter would play. He was asked that question at the Combine yesterday. He answered that he wants to play both, and figuring out how that looks or when and where he would play will be up to the team that drafts him. So no answer is basically the answer that Travis Hunter gave. He wants to play all the time. Miami tight end Elijah Arroyo will not be working out at the Combine due to a knee bruise that he suffered at the Senior Bowl. He is expected to be able to participate at Miami's Pro Day. Michigan defensive tackle Kenneth Grant did not participate in the defensive lineman's on-field workout at the Combine yesterday due to a mild hamstring strain that showed up on an MRI. He should be good to go for the Michigan Pro Day. Pat McAfee read a text from Travis Kelce on his show yesterday that read, quote, "I'm coming back for sure. Going to try to get into the best shape I've been in all offseason and get back to the mountaintop. Got a real bad taste in my mouth with how I played in that last game and with how I got the guys ready for battle. I can't go out like that." End quote. So prepare yourself for at least one more season of Taylor Swift on your screen during the Chiefs' primetime games in 2025. And the NFL has officially announced that the 2025 salary cap number will be $279.2 million, up $23.8 million from last year.
Very good.
Tommy, you just were a football player in the wrong era.
No doubt. You know, listen, Kelce, the way his performance was kind of pathetic, a Super Bowl. For him, there were plays where he took off. Like, he didn't barely move. Like, wasn't blocking anybody, wasn't doing anything.
Stories have come out that he was sick, going in the game. Like, these different things have come out.
He didn't look good.
Like, whatever it was, it's not. Kelce's kind of had a weird year.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, he hadn't been quite Kelce, right? Like, when you're comparing yourself to the Hall of Fame every year kind of thing that Travis Kelce got when he has a season where he only catches 60 and 8 touchdowns, we're like, what's wrong with Travis Kelce?
Yeah, right. 8 touchdowns. Take that all day long.
Right. Like, you set a standard. It's the Aaron Rodgers thing up there with the Jets, too. People are like, man, he stinks all of a sudden. It's like, no, only compared to that decade of utter dominance
4
that we
MVPs.
saw from that guy, right? Like, it's compared to that player, he's fallen off. But compared to NFL quarterback, he's okay.
Yeah.
He's not great, but he's okay. And we'll see if he winds up anywhere this year.
That Achilles is tough when you get it when you're older.
Sure.
It seems to not as heal as well as when you're younger.
No doubt.
I think that's a natural thing, that happens to everybody.
No doubt.
But that Achilles, because you can tell it's still bothered him. And now we'll be 2 years removed. I don't know. I mean, that's what you think. Like, if you're, I don't know. Like Tennessee. No, I'm not sold on Levis, but I don't know if I like these. I would go try to grab one of the three, either Darnold or Stafford or Rodgers, and see if I could have a stopgap for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, they're picking first. So if they want one of them, they can take their pick of the quarterbacks in this draft.
Yeah.
I don't love the idea of Tennessee being able to get the picks that someone would be willing to give up to come up and get one.
True.
Right, and they're in the position to do that. So we'll see how that's all going to play out.
Yep.
And there are stories that are coming out about it that saying, there's probably going to be a team that's willing to pay the price.
Who is the number one guy that teams got to have? Is it Abdul Carter, do you think, or is it going to be one of the QBs? You think they're really going to say like Cam Ward or
if they
Ward Sanders?
Whoever makes the move to one, I would assume they're doing it to get one of the quarterbacks. I think the player that will most often be at the top of NFL draft boards is probably Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Or, it's hard to say between him and Travis Hunter. I don't know. Like, maybe
Travis Hunter. I mean,
like maybe it's Hunter.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. He is a special kind of player, and so it would be
play corner and let him play wide out for 10 snaps. Who cares?
But I don't think a team's moving up to one to do that. Maybe they are.
Yeah.
It would surprise me, but maybe they are. I would think it would be a quarterback because that's typically how it works, right? If you make the move to one, it's because you got to have.
I tell you what, this year's draft, I don't know if there's a clear-cut number one. I'd be like, make them pick it. Like, make Tennessee make the pick.
I'm with you.
I
don't want them getting the ransom.
No, right.
For having the pick.
And you don't have to. Because, think about it. You don't have to with that.
Yeah.
You don't have. You just let them make the pick, and you'll know exactly how they're going.
I hope they make the pick and he stinks. That's what I hope it turns out to be. Whatever happens up there with the Tennessee Titans. Got a couple of things we need to do before we wrap up. I've been teasing it here for a couple of segments. We'll get to it.
Yeah, and I have no idea what you're talking about.
We'll get to Tommy's reaction to one of the questions from earlier this week, at least, as well as our reaction to the question of the day today, asking what you would be willing to give up in a trade. What's the most you'd be willing to give up in a trade? trade for Jaire Alexander. We'll give you our answer to that as well before we wrap it up. One more segment to go for the week right here on Jaguars Today on 1010 XL.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Here's another look behind the microphone at 1010XL with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
Did you expect this? No, I didn't expect this, and I didn't expect you either, to tell you the truth.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Plan A is definitely a loser. Let's go to Plan B. You got a Plan B?
Now, the Florida Gator Report on 1010XL. Brought to you by San Jose Collision.
College Game Day is headed to Gainesville tomorrow for a top 25 matchup as the 12th-ranked Texas A&M Aggies make their way into town for a very important matchup with just 3 games left before SEC tournament play tips off. Coming off that loss to Georgia, the Gators will have plenty of motivation to win. Over on the Diamond, Gators baseball's 3-game series with Miami starts tonight in Gainesville.
Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard? That's a whole lot of tail-wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open-play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
The Jacksonville Icemen are back at home this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the Savannah Ghost Pirates and Greenville Swamp Rabbits at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena for Military Appreciation Weekend. Presented by CSX and the Nimnick family of dealerships. Join as we honor our military with special jerseys and pregame festivities. Friday and Saturday's game time 7, Sunday at 3. You and your family can take a shot on goal on the ice after the game. Tickets at Ticketmaster, JacksIceman.com, or call 602-PUCK. Iceman Hockey is #Frozen Frenzy.
This is Jaguars Today Friday, brought to you by CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living.
If your pipes are clogged, your septic's acting up, or your heater's slacking, there's one name to remember. Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. We've got you covered. When you're stuck, call the Duck, 904-862-6769.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and you got really cool things going on right now because there's new product coming in the showroom. Tell everybody about the Aprilia Demo Days.
March 11th and 12th, it's a Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have the Aprilia Demo Truck. We caught them on the way back from Daytona Bike Week. They're going to be there. Come ready to ride.
Tell everybody real quick about Aprilia.
They are a bad Italian motorcycle. Nobody's ever ridden an Italian anything and said that wasn't fun.
Check it out. Cycles of Jacksonville, all the details on their Facebook page.
Dan and Jeff take you down the fairway with the PGA Tour professionals.
Keep an eye on this one.
Crunch with the Tour.
Tour news, tips, and inside info. Brought to you by
Clearwater Irrigation. 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold. Whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, the Goose Island or Bud Light Seltzer. Dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
Keeping kids active is a full-time job for parents. Look no further, though, than I-9 Sports, covering Duval, St. John's, and Clay to get your youngster in the game. Spring and summer registration open right now for flag football, soccer, t-ball, and basketball. Plus, all-new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. I-9 Sports with fields and gyms all over 3 counties. And the best thing is I-9 Sports offers sports year-round so kids can always find a sport to play. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyouBlow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Okay, sports fans, Hicken here. Let's talk skin. I and Beaches Dermatology are reminding you all to wear your sunscreen. Spring is here, and that means more time outside. Grabbing the clubs for your tee time? Bring the screen. Heading out on the boat? Bring the screen. Headed to the beach?
definitely bring the sunscreen. All in all, make sure sunscreen is included in your outdoor activities. If you have any concerns now, give Beaches Dermatology a call. I've been seeing them for years, and my skin thanks me for it. Call today online at beachesdermatology.com.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
All right, putting a bow on this edition of Jaguars Today. We've all gotten in our 2 cents on Mason Graham only weighing 290 pounds at the combine. We've had the breaking news of Ted McMillan not running.
Yeah.
At the combine.
I saw Cam Ward's not going to throw, which that's kind of normal these days, I guess.
It is. It's the quarterbacks. I talked about this with D-Rock yesterday. The quarterbacks are the only position where it really bums me out when they don't work out, because their workout is not that strenuous.
Right.
You're doing it with strangers.
Yeah.
But if the Jaguars were in the market for one of these top 2 quarterbacks and they both said no to working out at the combine, I'd be like, oh, come on. Can I at least see you work out next to one another?
Right.
To give me an idea of which one I really might prefer, if it's close at all in my mind between the two of them.
So the agents would say there's only downside, right?
Right.
There's no upside in you throwing at the combine.
I get it.
But at the same time, you're like, well, how much are they really going to deduct me if I don't hit, a few balls from guys that I'm not used to throwing to?
I doubt they would very much.
Right, I wouldn't.
Right.
You just want to see him throw. You want to see him move a little bit.
I think
see
it's
the release.
It's the agent's job to be overly cautious.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think the league necessarily has to hammer players for that kind of thing.
Much like the 40-tone, if I had the arm, I'd be slinging it up there.
There with you.
What? Let's go.
And it's more fun to watch.
Yeah.
I get it. It's still an entertainment thing. Football is still an entertainment business.
Those QBs that are asked to throw, that nobody thinks are going to, they end up getting drafted or free agent tryouts because they're like, wow, this kid can throw.
Yeah. I mean, Trevor didn't work out at the combine, but that's because he was dealing with whatever he was dealing with.
Right.
He did the pro day thing, and then that was it for him in that offseason. Wanted to... Our Tuesday top 5 this week, Tommy.
What's that?
Our Tuesday top 5 this week.
Yep.
We're going to do offense next week, but this week we did who are your top 5 defensive cornerstones currently for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I know 1 and 2.
Okay.
I don't know your order necessarily, but I imagine 1 and 2 are the same names that virtually everyone I've asked this question has. So, but the 3 through 5, I think, is where it gets really interesting. And we've all had slightly different lists in that regard. But so the top 5 defensive cornerstones for the Jaguars, and you can define cornerstone however you want to define it in your mind to do the list.
Well, of course, both edges you're going to take, right?
Yeah.
Trayvon and Josh Hines-Allen. I'm gonna. The first one that comes to mind, I'm just going by my gut, is Jaire Jones.
That's who I had.
I think he's a guy that is going to be a really good ball player. I'll throw Ventrell Miller in there because I think he should be your Mike linebacker. And Foyer's great, but I think there's more speed and more coverage ability there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 4. And then my 5th, I'll say Mason Smith.
Okay.
I'll say the big kid out of LSU, and let's see if he can put something together. So yeah, I'd go that. I wouldn't. Look, I still want to see more out of Jordan Jefferson, but he's got to show a lot more. But I think that would be my 5.
Why or how much did you consider, or did you just forget about Tyson?
I'm just not that sold on Tyson.
Okay.
I think he's okay. You can win with him, but I don't consider him a cornerstone.
Okay.
And it is, look, in all the defensive backs, except the ones that are out of position, You didn't have a rush. They set the dish on us like every damn week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To use a phrase of Gladstone, they did. I mean, we had nothing interiorly unless Eric played inside and got a little, rush there or sack there, here and there, but we didn't have anything. So it's hard to cover, but I don't know. Positive about Tyson, very physical. He's a good cover two, run stuff. Like he'll come up and hit you. So I do like that. I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm not saying replace him.
No.
But I don't know if I consider. I didn't mention Lloyd either. I didn't mention Lloyd. I like Lloyd.
I desperately wanted to be able to put Lloyd on the 5, right? Like me, when I was putting it together, it's like I want him to be this. When he got drafted, I wanted him to be this.
Yeah.
For a long time. It's just not there. I think he's a good tackler.
He's a physical guy.
Like,
I like him in that
when he gets his hands on you, he's good.
He can tackle.
It's putting him in any kind of space. And he's got that Taven Bryan thing. Like, in my mind, he's got that where he's just looking around like, what is happening?
It's mental. Like, because I was can he cover it? Is he not what he's doing? I think it's more mental. I think he can cover. Now, he's not your best cover linebacker. I think Ventrell is. He can cover, but I think it gets in his head a little bit.
Yeah.
So I want it simplified for him because I do like his physicality for sure. But Devin needs to be put in a position that he's more comfortable doing. And I do think it is getting after the quarterback from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
I mentioned a lot of times about how we used to use Joel Schminge as the bat linebacker. And it was basically running games with the D lineman whenever they called it, like with the nose or the end or the other end. And it was very effective. And Devin can do that. He lines up. He's a good blitzer from the inside.
Sure.
He is. He's long. He can get around those backs. He can, he's physical enough. I like to see more of him rushing the passer, getting after the QB.
I think it was, even when we did our list on Tuesday, if we gave who were all the players you were considering, the list stopped at 7 or 8.
Yeah,
right. Like
for defense,
right?
Yeah.
That you even think about, and once you get past number 2, you're like, well, what do I do?
Yeah,
right. Like cornerstone. Like, how do I want to look at this? It was hard for me not to have Tyson in it because he's already gotten the contract. I had Foye in my 5 because I think there's an outside chance that when he gets done in a Jaguars uniform, he's going to be their all-time leading tackler. Right, by the time that he gets done here in Jacksonville, and it's because I'm not locked in on Ventrell as much as some people are, and that's fine. He would have been my 6, 7, somewhere in there, and I'm not locked in on Mason. I'm not yet, and it's why I've been more in the Mason Graham thing.
Who was your 5?
My 5 were the 2 guys with Josh at the top for
Tyson.
me. Trayvon, Jarian Jones, Tyson Campbell, Foye Oluokun.
Okay, that's a good 5. And Foye's kind of a corner. He's a really good player, tackler especially.
He is.
I'd like to see him more. I'd like to see him blitz more.
Yeah.
I think he could be real effective blitzing the QB.
On a defense where they didn't have a whole lot of these, Foye is a rock solid pro.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
always ready.
He's that.
Yeah,
and
he's
he's going to be that
professional.
for him for at least the next couple of years. There are guys where I hope I can put him in my 5 at some point.
Yeah.
But it would be all projection for me with him, which is why I didn't put him there yet. They may be able to get there before we welcome in Helmets and Heels here in a moment. How would you answer today's question of the day? What is the most that you would be willing to give up in a trade for Green Bay cornerback Jaire Alexander? Your options: 2nd-round pick, 3rd-round pick, 4th to 7th-round pick or picks, and not interested in trading for Jaire.
I don't think I'm interested in trading for Jaire. I think he's a great player, but I'm going to roll with Jarian, Prince, Tyson, and whoever else they get in the draft.
Okay.
I think I would go that route. I don't.
Would you be in favor of them signing a corner in free agency?
Sure, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, no, you need another veteran there. I don't know. I mean, look, we were all excited about Darby, and that didn't, work out, unfortunately.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. I look again. You got to fix the pass rush.
Yeah.
Fix the pass rush, and your coverage will be a lot better. The only thing I'll say about Oluokun, if I can, as the true pro that he is, I'm surprised that he couldn't get Devin figured out on the coverage.
Yeah.
Like, come on, let's sit down and I'm going to show you what we're doing.
You
And
could
by the way,
see
he wasn't always in position either, Foyer.
No,
he was
but
out a couple of times.
Devin, that rookie year, watching him on the field, you felt his frustration.
Yeah.
Right? Like what Foyer was going through trying to get him lined up every snap to a point where they had to sit him down there for
but
that
he
month.
would always be around the ball. That's the thing about him. He's got good instincts to the ball.
We'll see. I would vote third-round pick. That would be the most that I'd be willing to give up. It's not that I'm saying they have to do this for it to be successful for me, but if they're going to be in the Jaire thing, I would say that would be where I'd cut the price
Would you
off.
give Jaire Jones a shot at being your other corner?
I think
Or
in
you think he's
today's
strictly
game, your slot corner is a starting position.
Well, it is,
And if
yeah,
he's going to excel at that kind of spot,
Leave
then
him.
let him excel at
Okay.
that kind of spot. You
That's
may want
fair.
to try it to see what it looks like with him outside. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
And I do, as we talked about when we put together the list, his attitude is something they just don't have a lot of on the team.
Yeah, no, he's
right. And so
he's a
that guy
gangster.
being a bigger part of whatever they do
In a good way.
is all a benefit for the football team. Before we wrap it up here, let's say hello to Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
Mia O'Brien joining us. Welcome back to Jacksonville.
Hello.
Hey, Mia.
Hi, how we doing?
Good.
I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time of the day. I think I'm hosting a show next from 12 to 2. So I guess
that's correct.
I guess it's 12 o'clock or 11:50.
How was the combine? Like, what's your big takeaway from the time up there?
Yeah, I was just, talking to Steve Griffin, our general manager, and I said, and I know I noted this in the story that our friend Jason Barrett and Barrett Sports Media put together. Like, for me, the combine, if you want to provide the best possible insight into the National Football League, which of course we do here on 1010XL, the combine is non-negotiable for me.
Yeah.
It was the largest radio row they've had in their history, over 50 different radio stations and media outlets. While yes, I know for the fans in terms of the on-field testing that has been diminished, it is still so important because of the medical piece. I know I spoke with some of our friends on the Jaguars staff yesterday, and just the sheer number of physicals that has to be done and can be done so efficiently in one locale. That's why the combine's never going to go away. I do think that the players also recognize the value of that centralized interview spot. And while, yes, I know many of the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay tree, many of those organizations say we can just bring them into our facility. I do think there is something to the car wash, and it sounds awful, but for a player to have that same enthusiasm on interview number 10 that they did on interview number 1, because that's going to go a long way in giving you a bigger picture of who that person is.
Yeah, I only got to do the combine once, and that was in 2016. But I'll say, I've done the Super Bowl a lot. And Radio Row is its own thing, and it's an amazing thing.
Yeah,
and all the guys that are in and out of that room for that 5 days, there's nothing else like it, right? And if you're an NFL fan, there's really nothing else like it, right? And the opportunity to talk to the players that are going to be playing in the Super Bowl, all that's amazing. The combine is such a different animal where it's that, but it's everybody who's anybody in the National Football League, and they're all in that room together drinking every night at the local bars. Like
fighting at Starbucks.
Right. Like there's nothing, there's no other event.
People don't believe me when I say, like Indianapolis, the last week of February is not real life. Like, I struggle even explaining to my family. They're like, what do you mean you have to be getting coffee at 7 a.m. meeting with somebody, but then you got to have dinner at 9 o'clock at night, and then you got to go out? Like, what is this? And you listen, it is a different world, but it is part of the show, and it's part of the league. And to your point, Tony, I've never been to a Super Bowl radio row, but I know that was the conversation we had with Barrett Sports Media. I think, and I know I spoke to a couple of our contemporaries in different markets this week who did go to the Super Bowl in addition to the Combine, and they said, if you want insider trading info, if you want to talk football, it's the Combine. If you want the show,
it's the history of the league is the Super Bowl radio row.
Right. If you want the fun little sponsored bits, if you want players, because obviously that's the one thing you don't have at the Combine. These players are available at a podium. No longer do you have that one-on-one access. But if you want head coaches, GMs, scouting personnel, insiders from across the world, if you want, Mike Tannenbaum was walking up and down, like 30-13, like like anybody who's anybody, like they are there. It's just a lot more about the actual behind the scenes.
Radio Row is where I have Anthony Munoz and John Hanna telling me Tony Baselli should be a walk-in Hall of Famer.
Right.
He's the best left tackle they've ever seen play. Right. Like that's where you have that conversation and guys that are talking about the history of the game where I could get into the Hall of Fame and now they're going to put my name on Lambeau. Right, and you can see him tearing up, right? And as a fan of football, you're watching that going, wow.
Right.
Like, where else do you get access to those kind of moments? The Combine is all what is happening in the league right now.
Right, like our conversation that you're going to hear here in just a little bit on Helmets and Heels with our friend Jordan Rodrigue of The Athletic. I think she's the first ever Heels guest to have appeared on our show twice in 1 week's time because she joined us last Friday ahead of James Gladstone's eventual hiring to preview some of those GM candidates. And so we put a bow on the week that was with Jordan, and that was an interview that, again, you get that. I mean, she'll call in whenever. She assured me of that, and I know many of our listeners appreciate that. But again, the line that, Trent, our video editor, just came up to me and said, what was the highlight of it that our listeners can look forward to and that we can put on our 1010XL social channels? And I said, she said to me that in talking with people around the league, while yes, it was a long, winding road to get there in terms of the questions that were asked, the candidates that were identified, the Jaguars had the best hiring process, if not one of the best hiring processes for both their head coach and GM of any team in the league this cycle.
I think you'll have to console Taylor Dahl as you go through the show on that particular topic.
She hasn't listened to it yet. It is available on our 1010XL YouTube channel if you want to get a head start on it.
We'll be listening as we go through, and
Thanks,
we'll
Tony.
continue to pick on Taylor for her Bears love.
Always. Can I just briefly say one thing? And I know I don't want to take too much from the show. I know Tommy wanted to get something in too.
Yeah.
The Shane Waldron questions, the fact that the Bears fans are... I did not go to Ben Johnson and say, why did you hire Press Taylor? But these... They're
I probably would. If I had one question I would ask Ben Johnson, it would be, why did you hire Press Taylor?
But we didn't, that was not, top on my agenda. But for the Chicago media that was assembled, and I respect all of them that were there from both the Score and from CHGO, the fact that we, you could tell Liam Cohen was prepared for it, but it was also just how are we still here?
And enough on how he pronounces Duval stuff. His face was like, oh my gosh, I have to hear that again.
No, it's a good. And I asked James if he would do it, and he goes, "No, we're just gonna leave it." Good job.
I saw him. All his spots they were doing it. We'll be listening, Mia.
Thanks, guys.
For the next couple hours for Helmets and Heels. It was funny. Like everywhere Liam went up there at the Combine, they were like, "Hey, what about that Duval thing?" They were like, "You want to try it again?" He's like, "No, I don't." I'm not, you could almost see it in his eyes, like, I'm not here to perform for you. What is going on?
He kept saying, I got my own cadence. That's what he was like, leave me alone, man.
I'm a quarterback. I got my own cadence. It's cool. That's all fine. We'll continue. Monday, obviously, we'll react to the completion of the NFL Combine as the next big step towards the NFL draft process will be in the rearview mirror. Tommy, you got anything coming up this weekend?
No, I don't. My Kelsey and my wife are on their flight to Los Angeles. Our Kelsey's moving to L.A. to chase her dance dream.
Good luck to her, man.
She's got a job out there already, so she's going to get after it. And her and her 3 roommates from a dance program she went to last year, they're out there, and hugged her goodbye this morning, and very proud of her, and can't wait to see my wife to get back. But just chilling. I got, of course, my Harley and Avery, and we're going to, I don't know, we'll figure some out. I know the Iceman got a 3-game stretch this weekend, Sunday at 3 p.m. That's a nice matinee, man. I don't know, maybe. But there's always something good to do around here.
All right, Dylan, anything for you this weekend?
Playing golf, finding the first hole, and breaking the course record.
There we go. Good luck in that endeavor, my friend. I will be watching the NFL Combine.
There you go.
Because that's how I roll. I'll be watching the NFL Combine.
Bar and Combine kind of go together.
Yeah, and probably some Vanderbilt College baseball when everything is said and done. Because, again, that's how I roll. I don't expect anyone to join me on that particular journey. Thanks again to Demetrius Harvey for joining us this morning from the Combine. So for Tom McManus, for Dylan Denmark, for a on assignment, Mike Dempsey. He'll be back with us on Monday. I'm Tony Smith. We'll talk to you Monday here on Jaguars Today on 1010X.